to preach from Matthew 2, 1 to 3, from this whole series, The King is Here. And Matthew 2, 1 to 3, the Bible says this: After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who's been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." Then King Herod heard this. When he heard it, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. And I pretty much preached this whole series on that one word, disturbed, which doesn't sound very encouraging at face value, right? But preached this whole series on this word, disturbed. And we started off looking at how Herod was disturbed because he knew something that many of us forget, that there can only be one king. We talked about how there's a little bit of Herod in all of us that wants to be in control, and that Jesus threatens that kind of control, and we want to define what's right and wrong on our own terms. You guys looking way too Christian off the back of Christmas, eh? But there is a little bit of Herod in you, even though it doesn't look like it this morning. There's a little bit of Herod that wants to be on the throne, that wants to be in charge, that struggles letting go, struggles trusting, and we talked about that, and we talked about how Herod misunderstood the nature of the kingdom. And what I want to do this morning is look at another reason why Herod was disturbed. It is quite interesting that right smack bang in the middle of the proclamation of peace and the gospel coming and the good news and Jesus being born, you would think that people would be happy about that, but actually this guy Herod and a whole lot of Jerusalem were disturbed. And one of the reasons was that Herod was caught up in something much bigger. He was caught up in the mix of colliding kingdoms. Come on, that's the title of my message. Why don't you turn to your neighbor and say colliding kingdoms? Come on, turn to your other neighbor, the better looking one, say colliding kingdoms. Say colliding, better looking. Colliding should have gone that way first, right? Never know which way it's going to go. And at face value, the story really, it looks like a political struggle, right? It looks like a struggle between Herod, a political struggle between Herod and Jesus that's about power, influence, and control. But if we step back, we see that it's about something much bigger. What's happening here is straight away, as soon as light comes into the world, there's this conflict between light and darkness. Come on, if we step back and see it with spiritual eyes, come on, there's something much bigger than just a political conflict, much bigger than a personality conflict here. It's the colliding of two kingdoms, the kingdom of darkness and the kingdom of light. Jesus is the light of the world, and when light steps in, he's an immediate threat to darkness, and conflict immediately follows. Come on, here's my big thought this morning, is that the same thing that was happening back then, the colliding of two kingdoms, is happening today. Two kingdoms are colliding. The kingdom of darkness built on lies. Come on, you don't have to even leave your home to see this, right? The kingdom of darkness is colliding with the kingdom of light. And there's conflict. The kingdom of darkness built on lies is conflicting with the kingdom of darkness, kingdom of light built on truth. And on the surface, it gets framed as politics, gets framed as human rights, race, social justice, identity, gender, sexuality. That's how the world talks about it. And that's how the media explains it. And if you just read the headlines, you could believe that. But if we step back and see with spiritual eyes, something big is happening. There's a colliding of two kingdoms. Come on, all around the world. And we're not to get sucked into just the narrative of the world around us. Come on, that it's a political issue. And these things, this conflict is playing out in those arenas. Come on, but it's not about those arenas. It's actually about a conflict between light and darkness. Come on, anyone with me this morning? It's a conflict between truth and lies, and that's what's playing out. And we're not just to get sucked into the narrative of the world and saying this is a human rights issue, or actually it's a kingdom issue. And we've got to learn to see the world through a biblical lens, not just see it through the way that the world is feeding us, right? Conflict showing up in all these areas, in education and health, in politics, sports, arts, entertainment, media, even religion. There's a conflict happening in those arenas, but it's not about those arenas. It's about actually the colliding of two kingdoms. And if we don't understand that, then it'll weaken our witness. We'll either avoid the conflict or we'll shrink back from those environments. Hey, but come on, when the church loses its voice, how many people know we need Christians to have a voice in those areas, right? Because when the church loses its voice, the world loses its mind. Hey, the church is the pillar and foundation of the truth, which means that, like, when you go to the supermarket, you get groceries. When you go to the bank, hopefully you get money. Maybe you get the answer to the negative money, but that's what happens when you go to the church. What do you get? You get truth. Come on, the church is the voice of truth in the world. It's the conscience of truth in the world, eh? I saw this YouTube clip recently. See why I didn't preach this on like Christmas Eve, right? I don't preach it anyway, man. I'll weave it in there, eh? Extend our series a little bit. But I saw this YouTube clip about this elephant, the things you do, right, when you're on holiday. This YouTube clip about this guy staring down this massive elephant, and he was a wildlife expert. I don't know if you knew, but 400 to 500 people die from elephant death all around the world. Not the number one leading cause of death, but probably more than you thought, right? And so a lot of people die from wild elephants, like mauling them and killing them. And so this wildlife expert, 30 years as an expert, was teaching people how to handle an elephant in the wild. This elephant sees him, and it starts like going hard, and then it starts charging him. This elephant charges this guy, and he stands there. The clip says he's giving out calm energy, right? And he's just standing there calm as while this elephant is charging him, and it charges him, and right when it gets up close to him, it slams on the brakes and comes to a complete stop. And then he starts teaching and saying the way to handle an elephant in the wild is when it charges, you've just got to stay calm and you've got to stand your ground. Come on, how many people think that'll preach, right? Come on, because everything that's happening around us, it's kind of like a wild elephant. Eh? It's big, it's got a lot of momentum, it's charging at us. But come on, all we've got to do as believers, we've got to stand on the truth of God's word. Come on, when you stand on the truth of God's word and say, man, I'm just going to take a stand. Then you get aggressive about it, you just stand, right? I'm just having done all, I'm going to stand on the truth of God's word. The powerful picture of what we're called to do in this generation, even though we might feel small at times and inadequate, overwhelmed by the size of what's coming at us, we've got to stand on the truth of God's word. I got 4 points because we've only got one service this morning, so I snuck a sneaky one in there. But I got 4 points this morning from this whole thought of colliding kingdoms. First thing is that Jesus champions truth. Jesus champions truth. This hit me just leading up to Christmas. John 18:37 says this, "You're a king then," said Pilate. Jesus answered, "You say that I am king. In fact, the reason I was born and came into the world is to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me." So Jesus champions truth. And if you were to I was just thinking leading up to Christmas, why did Jesus come? And Jesus came, obviously Jesus came to represent God or to show us what God is really like. Hey, come on, you want to know what God is like? Just look at Jesus. And he's the perfect picture of what God is like. Hey, other people tried to represent God, but they misrepresented him through their failure and not capturing the heart and the true nature of God. So God came himself and sent Jesus. And one of the reasons Jesus came was to represent God. Another reason he came was to seek and save sinners. Come on, anyone grateful for that this morning, eh? That he came to seek and save that which is lost. And that's why Jesus came. But actually another reason he came was to testify to the truth. He came because the world is full of lies, and he came to bring truth. And this is why there's a conflict in the world, because when truth conflicts with the lie, there's going to be immediate conflict. Come on, there's going to be immediate tension in that situation. Anyone heard of the North Star before? Like the North Star, right? And can we bring that picture up? Hopefully we got it, of the North Star. And this is a picture of, so the North Star in the Northern Hemisphere, Southern Cross in the Southern Hemisphere, but it's one star, so I went with the North Star. And so let's say we got this North Star. This North Star has been used for centuries for navigators and sailors to guide ships and navigation by. Even today's GPS and modern navigation goes off the North Star. So they use the North Star because it's a fixed point in the atmosphere. It's a fixed point in the sky that never changes. So this is like a time-lapse picture. All these stars are moving around. You can't navigate off them. But the North Star right in the middle, it's fixed. It never changes. It never moves. Come on, doesn't matter what nationality you are. Doesn't matter what gender you are. Come on, doesn't matter where you are in the world. The North Star always faces north. Which means if I'm facing the North Star, then I'm facing north. This is east, never eat soggy wheat bix. Hey, this is east, this is south, this is west. It doesn't matter who you are. And if I turn around this way, this is always south. It's a fixed point, right? And it doesn't matter where you are, this North Star is a fixed point in the world. In the same way that north is north, truth is truth. Come on, truth is fixed and factual. It's not relative. It's not true for one person and not true for another. Hey, some people say Jesus came into the world to testify about Christian truth. There is no Christian truth. There's no Christian truth. There's no secular truth. There's only truth, right? Come on, truth is truth. Truth is true for everyone. Truth isn't based on feelings. Truth isn't based on preferences. Truth doesn't need us to believe it for it to be true. If I don't believe in the North Star, it's still facing north, right? It's still the North Star. If I don't believe it exists, it still exists. Truth is truth, right? When I was at uni, I was taught that truth was relative. Some of you never believe I went to uni, eh? That guy, you didn't go to uni. Got the paper to prove it. But when I was at uni, I was taught that truth is relative, right? And we never want to take away from the validity of people's experience. But just because something was your experience doesn't make it true. Hey, today the test of truth is whether it feels right. If something feels right, it must be true. Imagine if you got on a plane and the pilot said, I'm going to navigate by feelings today. Hey, I don't know about that North Star business. I'm going off feelings, man. Your feelings are important, but they're not the source of truth. Facts and reality are the source of truth, right? And I just want to establish a bit of a foundation because I'm going somewhere with this. Because we actually live in a world where people say it's unloving to speak the truth. Hey, let me say, if all you have is love and you don't have truth, you don't have love. Hey, because the most loving thing to do is to speak the truth. And I don't mean speak the truth all the time in people's face when they don't want to hear it all the time. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying like truth is truth, right? And truth, the more you build your life on truth, the better it's going to be. The more you build your finances on truth, the better it's going to be. I know like some of you like chuck the bill under the mattress and hope it goes away, but the more you build your life, your finances on truth, the more you build your marriage on truth, the more you build your family on truth, the more you build your soul. I think the person we lie to the most is probably ourselves, if we're honest. Hey, like the more we build our own personal life on truth, the better our life is going to be, right? The world says it's loving to affirm a lie and it's hateful to speak the truth. Come on, the first thought is the kingdom is built on truth. You still with me this morning? I got three more, man. I got three more. Second thought, an inconvenient truth is better than a convenient lie. An inconvenient truth is better than an inconvenient lie. Come on, yesterday was the day after Boxing Day and I jumped on the scales. Because I'm committed to truth, inconvenient truth, right? I'm just going to look at that thing. I didn't like what I saw, but come on, I'm just believing that the truth is going to set me free, man. I'm just like, I didn't like it, but I looked at it and I saw it and it was true. Hey, come on, when you go to the doctor, you don't want the doctor to tell you something that feels good. You want the doctor to tell you the truth, even when it's inconvenient, because you know that the truth is going to help you move forward in life, right? I remember when we were first married and they say that in the first year of marriage. I don't know if you heard this. In the first year of marriage, he speaks and she listens. In the second year of marriage, she speaks and he listens. In the third year of marriage, they both speak and the neighbors listen. And that's what I heard anyway. That's what I heard. Just for the record, that was not true for us. We went straight to year three. Right? And so we went straight to year three. I remember in our first year of marriage. I remember our first year of marriage. We were living down Jones' place, and I remember Kitty standing at the door in a loud-ass voice saying, I hate this marriage. I hate being married to you. It was real loud. My first thought was like, keep it down, the neighbors can hear. That's my first thought. Honestly, my second thought was, I thought, this is true. This is sad but true. Actually applies to a whole lot of people. Anyway, and my second thought was, I thought we were doing okay. And like that was honestly, I was like, I thought we were good, man. I'm like, what? What? It just means that she was real good at meeting my needs and I was terrible at meeting her needs probably. But anyway, a lot of guys are like that, by the way. Like, I thought we were doing okay, man. Clueless, man, completely. But come on, how many people know that's an inconvenient truth? But that inconvenient truth helped me build a better marriage. Come on, I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want the neighbors to hear it. But it was true. And that truth was like, man, I better wake up and change some things in my life. Otherwise, I ain't going to have a marriage for much longer, man. It was an inconvenient truth that I needed to hear that helped me change direction in my life. An inconvenient truth is better than a convenient lie. For a lie to be effective, it has to sound like the truth. That's how the enemy works. He gets in there with a lie. It's like even in marriage, you'll get in there and say, you'd be happier without him. They don't love you. Come into church, you know, all those guys, they're tight with each other, but nobody really cares about me. And the enemy just gets in there with a lie, and then he steps back and lets the lie do its work. And then the lie does its work. That's what the enemy does. The more we live in alignment with truth, the better our life will be. Second thought this morning, an inconvenient truth is better than a convenient lie. Third thought this morning, conflict is inevitable. Conflict is inevitable. When you think about it, Matthew 2 verse 3 is extremely odd, right? I mean, Jesus is born into the world. He's the Prince of Peace. Angels come and herald peace to all mankind. Like, here's the Prince of Peace turning up. Jesus is the Prince of Peace, and angels are coming saying this is peace for everybody and good news for humanity. And what goes on is the exact opposite. Herod's disturbed, and all Jerusalem is disturbed with him. So we've got this proclamation of peace, and right after that, we've got the opposite. People are disturbed. Because true and lasting peace is built on truth. And whenever truth enters a world of lies, conflict is inevitable. That's why Matthew 10:34, Jesus says, don't think I've come into the world to bring peace in the world, but a sword. Even he goes on to say a man's enemies will be members of his own household. Hey, come on, it's pretty brutal. But he's saying, come on, truth will divide. Truth will confront. Truth will bring an inevitable conflict. And a lot of Christians, even Christian leaders, will say that we should avoid the conflict. But the reality is we can't avoid conflict. And even if we could, we must not avoid the conflict, right? You know, after the Second World War in Nazi Germany, and there was a pastor there whose name was Martin Niemöller, his German pastor. And he was asked, how did Nazi Germany happen? And his answer wasn't about politics or power. He said it happened through silence. He said they came, this is a quote from him, they came for the disabled. We said nothing because we weren't disabled. They came for the mentally impaired. We said nothing because we weren't mentally impaired. They came for the homosexuals. We said nothing. They came for the Jews. We said nothing. They came for the Catholics. We said nothing. Then they said, when they finally came for the church, there was no one left to say anything. Hey, come on, if we keep backing up and backing up and backing up, at the end of the day, we'll have nothing left to fight for. Hey, we've got to make a stand, come on, at some point and say, come on, I'm going to embrace the conflict because conflict is inevitable. Come on, maybe Kelly, you want to join me and sweeten up this last part? Sweeten it up. Sweeten it up. Find me a minstrel. Last thought, genuine compassion, it's important, genuine compassion will side with the truth. Genuine compassion will side with the truth. 1 Corinthians 13:6. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Love rejoices with the truth, right? Anyone heard of like the Trojan horse? That Trojan horse, and it's from Greek legend, or not sure how factual it is, but it's based on Greek legend. And Greece was at war. This part is true. Greece was at war with Troy for roughly 10 years, and they tried to overthrow Troy, but its walls kept them out. And the Trojans, they loved horses, and during the Bronze Age, horses were a symbol of power and prestige and strength, military strength, and they were known, the Trojans were known, if you read some of the old literature, for just the way that they tamed horses. And so there's this fight going on for a long time, this conflict, and Greece can't overthrow Troy. And so what they do is they pretend to retreat, and they send in like this big horse. They build a horse, they sail out, but really they don't sail out, they just sail around the corner. And they built this big wooden horse, but inside the wooden horse is a whole lot of Greek soldiers. And the Trojans think, man, the Greeks can't beat us, and so they're honoring us with this horse, and they're retreating. And so they brought the horse into their walled city, and then they started celebrating and say, hey, yeah, we've won this great victory, celebrated into the night, and under the cover of darkness, the Greeks came back. the soldiers jumped out of the horse and unlocked the gates, and the Greek soldiers came in and they overthrew Troy. Maybe a true story, but anyway, it works for my preach. But that's what's happening today with the idea of compassion. Hey, is that there's a lot of compassion that's been thrown around, and I believe in compassion, right? I believe that compassion's way better than empathy. Empathy's feeling for someone, compassion's doing something about it, right? But there's a whole lot of kind of talk around compassion that looks good, sounds good, but inside it are hidden agents of evil. And there's a whole lot of examples that I could use, but take like gender dysphoria, for example. And so you take that, which is a real thing, right? It's a real thing. But there's this idea that says that if your child thinks that they're a girl when they're a boy, that true compassion will affirm their feelings. Hey, come on, if your 5-year-old thinks that they can fly, don't take them up to the roof. Hey, you're not going to take them up to the roof. That kind of compassion actually creates more long-term suffering. Hey, and it's coming under the thing of compassion. Come on, true compassion isn't about agreeing with people's feelings. It's about the long-term relief of suffering. I feel like it just got a little bit real in church this morning, eh? You don't know how to respond to that one, eh? No, I'm not sure how to respond. Like, it's a Trojan horse. It sounds compassionate. And it's like this voice in the world through the narrative of compassion that's trying to shut down truth. Hey, because you can't say that. That's hateful. That's unloving. Come on, it's not unloving. It's not even a conflict. This conflict is not between good people and bad people. It's not even a conflict about perspectives. This is a conflict between light and darkness. Come on, this is a conflict between truth and lies. That's what it is. It's a conflict. And we can look at that and say it's a human rights issue. It's not a human rights issue. It's a kingdom issue. The kingdom of darkness is trying to advance in the kingdom of light, and there's colliding kingdoms. Come on, that's why as soon as light turned up in the world, Herod was disturbed. It was bigger than Herod. There's this conflict happening in the world. There's this conflict happening in our generation. Come on, and if all we do is read the headlines, we'll miss what's happening. Come on, what's happening is there's a conflict, and the enemy wants to get the church to withdraw from those spaces so that we lose our voice in those spaces, right? Or we can feel intimidated to speak up. And I'm not talking about being mean, but I'm just saying, hey, this is the truth. Come on, this is what the truth. We need the church to stand up. And if the church doesn't stand up and stand on the truth, come on, the church is the pillar and foundation of the truth. When the church loses its voice, the world loses its mind. Come on, that's why we need Christians in those environments. Saying, come on, too many Christians trying to get out of dark environments. I'm like, come on, we got to try and get into dark environments. Hey, don't try and get out of them, get into them. Come on, and speak up and make a stand. Stand on the truth. Come on, the truth doesn't need defending. You don't need to defend a lion, you just need to let it go. Hey, come on, the truth doesn't need defending. You just need speaking, right? Just need speaking. This whole thing, this Trojan horse, it's really just what your kids do, to be honest. I don't know, your kids are probably holier, but my kids, if you don't give me ice cream for breakfast, you're a mean dad. It's hate speech. You're a mean dad. It's just manipulation. Hey, if you don't give me a phone, come on, somebody, hey, hold out on that as long as you can. Hey, if you don't give me a phone, come on, opening up a whole world of stuff. If you don't give me a phone, then you hate me. You're a mean. Come on, it's just manipulation. Come on, it's the same thing, right? It's a Trojan horse. Not a loving dad, not a loving parent. That kind of compassion produces weak people. Come on, how about we stand to our feet, eh? Come on, enjoy that comfortable message heading into 2026. That's what the truth does. The truth makes us uncomfortable, eh? And there's two ways we can go with. You know, we can either become so black and white about everything that we're just so narrow-minded we can see through a keyhole with both eyes. You know, some Christians, they're so narrow-minded they can see through a keyhole with both eyes, right? So that everything's black and white. Come on, not everything is black and white. And it's the maturity of a Christian. You know, like when a baby's born, it can only see in black and white. And then it starts to see color as it grows. As a Christian, often people get saved, they're black and white about everything. And then as they grow in their faith, they see that not everything's black and white. But then we can go to the other extreme where everything's grey and we become so open-minded our brains fall out. Hey, and so we don't want to do either of those things. But it's like some things are black and white. And the thing with black and white Black and white makes us uncomfortable. Truth creates conflict. But we've got to build our life. And I'm not standing up here saying I got a monopoly on truth and everything I believe is the truth. I'm just saying let's be lovers of truth. Come on, let's love the truth. Let's be committed to seeking truth. Let's be committed to building our lives and our families on truth. Because truth is what's going to stand.
Thanks so much for joining us today. Legacy runs weekly Sunday services. We also run a number of ministries helping the poor. We run an addiction program, a significant social housing ministry, and large community meals helping show the love of Jesus to our city. If you would like to partner with us, just scan the QR code on the screen or visit us online. Have a fantastic day.